Alright, here we go. So I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Ashley. I'm 24 years old and I am from Apex, North Carolina, but I am currently living in the awesome beach town of Wilmington, North Carolina. A few things about me. I have a slight obsession, actually a very big obsession, with cats. Sometimes I'll admit I like cats more than people. I have a very adventurous spirit. I absolutely love roller coasters and jumping off things. And chilling out on rooftops. My roommate and I are always dancing together. We're just super silly goofballs. So you can find us dancing whether we are attempting to roller skate, or we're at a parade. Maybe we're just ruining an awesome sunset with our amazing dance moves and having a blast. Hanging out on a porch overlooking the beach, or ankle deep in snow. It doesn't really matter where we are, we just love to share our awesome dance moves with the world. That was sarcasm. We're actually terrible. But yeah, I'm just like a super silly person and I love to have a good time, and I usually end up making a fool of myself, but I have the best time doing it. For example, when my friends and I were eating peanut butter and jelly that was super soggy in a natural hot spring. The time that I got hypnotized on stage in front of like 150 people, going trick-or-treating at the age of 24. Yeah, I'm a kid at heart. Also, I am super passionate about really good donuts, and my favorite meal is hands down brunch. I wish that I could eat brunch for every meal of every day in an ideal world. I also have a huge travel addiction. The travel bug bit me back in, I think, 2011 when I left the country for the first time and went on a mission trip to Costa Rica. And from that moment on, I just had a heart for travel. So personally, I think that the best way to get to know a fellow believer is through their testimony, and so I wanted to share mine. Alright, let's see. Where do I start? I grew up in a Christian household, and I am super blessed to have two amazing parents that just love the Lord. I grew up attending a Southern Baptist church, and that really helped shape me into who I am today. So I was 7 years old when I got saved, and shortly after got baptized. But I don't know, being so young as a kid, my life didn't like drastically change in that moment. Throughout middle school and high school, the majority of my friends were in my youth group, and so I kind of had a little bubble of Christian friends, and I was definitely a pretty sheltered kid. Whenever I went off to college, I went to UNC Wilmington, and I majored in elementary education. My whole entire life, I thought I was going to be a teacher. I was that kid who would come home from school and set up all my stuffed animals in my room and just spend the whole afternoon reading to them and playing library and giving my dolls homework, and just, I was obsessed with being a teacher. When I went to college, I majored in elementary education, and I absolutely loved my classes. I learned so much about education. But once I started student teaching, I think I really got hit hard by the reality of teaching. I think in my head I had built it up over the years to be something that I kind of idolized in a way. I found my identity in it, and so once I realized that I actually didn't like the reality of teaching as much as I thought I would, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of in a dark place. I ended up getting super anxious and stressed out from all of the work that goes into student teaching. It's a tough job, and I have mad respect for all of my friends that graduated and just are killing it in the education field right now. Shout out to you guys, because I just don't know how you do it. I can be really hard on myself because I just want to do the best that I possibly can, which I think a lot of us can relate to that. I ended up getting so stressed out and anxious from all of the planning and work that was involved. I wasn't able to sleep that well. Pretty soon my stomach kind of refused food, and about a week went by where I couldn't eat at all just because I was so stressed out. I had never dealt with anxiety that crippling in that way before. After being hospitalized because I was so dehydrated from not being able to sleep or eat or drink, I ended up withdrawing from my student teaching internship and decided to try again the next semester. Once again though, the anxiety and the stress really took a toll on me, and it ended up being just like deja vu. My body was just wrecked. And so for the second time that year, I withdrew from student teaching again, and I think it was finally the wake-up call that I needed, that teaching wasn't what I was actually going to end up doing with my life. I don't know, it's hard growing up your whole life visualizing yourself in a career that you think you're so passionate about, but then once the reality kicks in, it's not what you thought it was going to be, and all of a sudden you have to rethink your entire future. So during this time last year, I was just really lost. I started really confiding in God and asking Him what I was supposed to be doing. I was really struggling with my identity, which I had previously always put into thinking that I was going to be a teacher. That was just what I associated myself as. So now all of a sudden I had to rethink who I was. So I really pressed into God during this time. I remember just journaling every day and spending hours in the Bible and reading His Word and just trying to figure out what my next steps were. And so it was during this time, pretty much exactly a year ago, that all of a sudden God put the idea of foreign missions in my head. I had never before thought about doing that. I had gone on a few short-term mission trips in the past. However, I was very comfortable knowing that at the end of the week we'd be going back home, back to our familiar houses and our families and friends and Wi-Fi and American food and all that fun stuff. Once God put the idea of foreign missions in my mind, I was like, what? You know, this is not something that I could see myself doing. I kind of couldn't shake it. I did a lot of research into organizations and opportunities, and I don't know, nothing just really felt right. And so after a month or two, I kind of just pushed the idea of foreign missions under the table. At this point, I had graduated from college with my degree in education, but not my teaching license. So my hands were a little tied on what I could do. I ended up working in a daycare for a few months, but I don't know, it didn't feel like where I was supposed to be. So then I became a nanny, which I currently am still doing, and I absolutely love it. Just another day. You want to try my cake?
You try.
Strawberry.
Yeah.
It's really cool being able to openly talk about God with the two kids that I nanny. I think about if I ended up teaching in a public school, I would not be allowed to talk about my faith. So I've been a nanny now for a few months, and like I said, I absolutely love it. However, I feel like God is calling me to do more and be more for Him. And so, I don't know, the past year, God's still just been tapping on my shoulder and saying, Ashley, remember that calling I told you to do about, you know, going throughout the world and serving people and telling them about me? Yeah, I still want you to do that. God has bigger plans for me, and So yeah, which brings me to where I am now, preparing to depart on the world race in August, and it's really cool looking back and seeing how all the puzzle pieces fit together. I never would have been pursuing this if I ended up becoming a public school teacher like I thought. Just because I know myself and I know that I would be so invested in that job that I wouldn't even be thinking about doing foreign missions instead. So I just want to encourage you, if you are in that place right now where you just don't know what's going on, you're super anxious about the future, or kind of having an identity crisis, I just really encourage you to press into the Lord and ask Him ultimately what He wants you to do with your life, which, if you are truly following Jesus, I think that you will come to realize it's not about you, but it's all about Him. And so I'll just leave you with the thought that we need to be following Him wherever He asks us to go. So that's me. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you getting to know me a little bit better. You can go to my blog, ta-da, which is ashleysimmons.theworldrace.org. Sorry, kind of blinked for a second. I hope you all have a lovely day. Go and have an adventure. I don't even know where I was going. I'm like so scatterbrained right now. I'm all over the place.